So when I finally became a licensed attorney in the US, I made a decision that still guides my work till today. I told myself I would dedicate my career to breaking the two biggest enemies immigrants face, which is fear and ignorance. Why? Because I have lived both. Today, I help immigrants understand something many still do not know. America is not your enemy. Yes. America simply requires you to follow the legal process, even under Trump. After representing immigrants for over 29 years and helping more than 12,000 get their papers and fight their immigration case, I know this truth about America despite the drama going on today. No country on earth offers more legal pathways for immigrants than the United States. You just need to understand the options and have the right legal guidance. So my mission now is simple: to help immigrants stop living in fear, to help them discover opportunities they never knew existed, and to guide them toward the future that they deserve. So if you feel lost in the immigration system, if you believe you may have options but don't know where to start, or if fear has been keeping you from pursuing your legal status, you don't have to face it alone anymore. My name is Attorney Okpebanwo, and that is why I fight for immigrants. Speak with me today. Myself and my 30 staff of lawyers and paralegals stand ready to fight for you. Alrighty, welcome to day 3 of 30 days of Immigrant Survival Marathon Show. We are using it to kick off my signature immigration show that is called Immigrant Survival Show. Today is day 3, and as usual, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff. The whole purpose of the show is to educate, is to empower, and to give hope to immigrants, especially those who are in America or those who are coming to America. As you join us on this show today, I want you to help me share the links to those who think might be interested in the immigration issues. For those that you know both locally and abroad who might benefit from being part of a show like this. And of course, I want to introduce my sharpshooting team who have been working hard to make this show, this 30-day marathon show, a reality. I'm just the face that you see. There are those who do all the work behind the scenes. We have Grace Okafor. We have Stephen Oyele here. We have Jolomi. We have Samuel Lepon. The whole team. You can see that we've got a whole great team behind me. They work day and night to make sure I remember my lines, to make sure I remember what to talk about, and to make sure they get all your questions out there for me to answer on this show tonight. So I want to appreciate every one of you, Grace, Stephen, Jolomi, Samuel, every one of you. Your labor of love is appreciated by the immigrant community. Thank you guys. All right, they will be in the studio with me. They are right there. Looking at me and making sure I don't doze off while the show is live. All right, thank you guys. So today we are going to be continuing with the 30 days marathon because I feel that one of the major problems with immigrants is not so much about the laws, but about the ignorance of what they can do. And today, we'll cover several aspects of that. In fact, today, my first talk is going to be on, wait for it, it's going to be on fear. On fear, because fear has basically become a major problem in terms of how immigrants are approaching their problem with immigration. So I am going to come back to that as we talk about the fear, or what I call, for want of a better word, why fear is costing immigrants more than Trump can ever do. So let's get started. My name is Okpe Banwu, and they call me the Immigration Rottweiler. This 30-day marathon is our own way of giving back to the immigrant community as we celebrate the opening of our new Banwu Law Office in Dallas, especially the Arlington area of Dallas Metroplex, after 29 years of serving immigrants from our Nebraska office nationwide. So for the next 30 days, and today is day 3, we're going to be answering all your questions. Any questions you can bring on the show, we'll try our best to answer it. Even though immigration changes every day, we'll do our best with our current knowledge to be able to answer those questions for you. We're going to be sharing immigration survival strategies, because it's now war. Immigration is almost like war in America now. You have to know how to survive. And we're going to be helping immigrants make smarter decisions in these uncertain times, because sometimes the decision you take in these difficult times can decide whether your American dream can become a reality or it becomes a never-ending nightmare. So the goal of this show is to make sure you are not one of the casualties of war in this war that is going on between America and immigrants, as America tries to take control of its borders, which is a legitimate thing, and as America tries to control illegal immigration in its borders, which is also not a bad thing. Most countries do that. But you, if you are in America right now and you have challenges about regularizing your papers, this show is for you. If you have relatives out there, this show is for you, because only those who are proactive and only those who are proactive are going to survive at the end of the day. Let's get into it. And I want to talk first, when I come back, I want to talk about why fear is costing immigrants more than Trump could ever do. But before we do that, of course, I got to show some videos early to make you guys feel comfortable, to make sure you are relaxed, because Dr. Okpe is about to bring it tonight with his team. I've got the 4 musketeers. They are not 3, they are 4. And we're going to be shooting all night. But first, before we go, I want to play some pre-recorded videos that I have out there. Every day, I put out a video to teach one thing or the other. Over the next 30 days, I work all day, all night, just to make sure that we prepare for you to be able to be more educated during these days of these 30 days of marathon, immigration survival marathon. Here's the first video for tonight. I just got this question. My lawyer missed the deadline, and now I have been ordered deported. What can I do? Short answer, you may still have some options, but you must act fast. My name is Dr. Okpe Banwu, and for over 29 years, I've been helping immigrants achieve their American dreams without the nightmares. A missed deadline in immigration court is serious, whether by you or your lawyer, but it does not always mean your case is completely over. What matters most is what happened, when it happened, and how quickly you responded. Let me give you a few real-life examples that can help you out here. Someone receives an in absentia removal order, which is what they give you when you don't show up in court, because their attorney failed to appear or notify them properly to show up in court. Now, this may be challenged under certain circumstances. Another person misses a filing deadline for an immigration appeal or a motion. He still has a narrow window to file a motion to reopen or to reconsider. Or let's consider someone's case that was mishandled due to ineffective assistance of counsel, because counsel did not know what he was doing or did the wrong things. there may be a legal pathway to address that if done correctly. The key point is this in all these examples: timing is everything. Because in immigration law, even when you have a second chance, it usually comes with strict deadlines. If your lawyer misses a deadline and you now have a deportation order, do not wait, do not assume, do not delay. Go to speakwithokpe.com now and book a strategy consultation call immediately so that we can help you unravel this before your American dream turns into a nightmare. Alrighty. Hope you got some lesson from that. We are going to be doing a lot of that all night long. During this show, it's a 2-hour show, and for the rest of the of June, today is just day 3. For the rest of June, we're going to be loading you with a lot of knowledge, a lot of information on how to survive the current immigration tsunami that is threatening to engulf a lot of immigrants. But before we get into the Q&A tonight, most of our show is going to be about answering your questions. And then, of course, for those of you who might want to do a one-on-one about your situation, maybe you want to talk to a lawyer privately concerning your own case, you can always book an appointment with me at speakwithokpe.com. Speakwithokpe.com. And this all month long, we are doing a special where you book an appointment with us. You're going to be getting these 2 books for free all month long. I just published them. They are live on Amazon. They're live on Barnes & Noble. They're $49.99 each. But I'll be giving you each of these books for free if you book an appointment with us during this Immigrant Survival Marathon for the month of June. The first one is Immigrant Status Survivor Guide. And then the second one is the USA Immigration Q&A Handbook. The handbook has got more than, I believe, more than 500 questions on every issue that you might think of in American immigration. We have answered it there. It's a voluminous book, over 270 pages to help you deal with every question you may have. And then, of course, I have this Andy Survivor Guide, the Immigrant Status Survivor Guide, to help you as a person deal with several scenarios, pathways to getting your papers. And that is part of our special for this month. Okay, let's get into the talk or the what I call my opinion or a rant. I like to use the word rant because people see rant as a bad thing, but I think it's more like an educative thing. I want to talk today before we go into the questions that we're going to be answering for you tonight. Why fear is causing immigrants more than USCIS and more than Donald Trump. Fear, to me, is causing a lot of immigrants much more than even the immigration that we are all afraid of. So I want to talk about this topic because it may sound controversial, but we need to talk about it. I want to talk about fear, not ICE, not about deportation, not about Donald Trump, but about fear. Now, before anybody gets upset, because some of these my rants get people upset, I want you to hear me out tonight. See, I've been practicing immigration law now for almost 30 years in America. I was admitted to the New York bar in 1997. That's 29 years ago. That's after being admitted to the Nigerian bar in 1986 before I relocated to America in 1995. So I've been around. As an immigrant lawyer in America, I have helped thousands of immigrants. And one thing I've noticed is that many immigrants are losing opportunities not because of the government, but because of fear. Fear has become their full-time job. They're afraid to open their mail. They're afraid to answer their phone. They're afraid to go to appointments. They're afraid to drive. They're afraid to talk to a lawyer. They're afraid to file applications. They're afraid to ask questions. They're afraid to make a move on their own lives. And while they're busy being afraid, life keeps moving. Deadlines pass. Opportunities disappear. cases get more complicated, rules get changed, the American dreams gets put on hold because of fear. Not because somebody stopped them, but because fear stopped them. And you know what's funny? Fear never files any deportation case. Fear never arrests anybody. Fear never signs a removal order. What fear does is convince you to sit still while your situation gets worse, because it can only get worse if you are not sorting out yourself. And in immigration law, doing nothing is often the most dangerous thing you can do, especially in the America of today. I've seen people qualify for benefits but never applied. I've seen people wait years to get legal advice because they were scared of what they might hear. It's like being afraid to go to hospital because you don't want them to diagnose you with cancer or diagnose you with something stupid. I used to be afraid to go to hospital myself. I always tell my wife, who's a nurse, that these doctors are crazy, that they will always find something. So when it comes to time for physical, I'm dodging. I'm trying to, but one day she told me, said, "Okay, why are you running from doctors? That won't it be better if there's anything for them to discover it early, so that you can find solutions, so they can get treatment, so that you can look for cures. But when you are dodging, then one day you just fall down on the street and you die. And that's it." So after I missed doctor's appointment for 5 years out of fear, I was refused to go. Finally, when I went, you know what they found out? I'm talking several years ago now. They found out that I have impossibly high blood pressure that I could have dropped at any time. I had high cholesterol and I have high blood pressure. Two deadly combinations at an alarmingly high thing. And the doctor was telling me that if I had not come in the next few weeks, I probably would have had a stroke. I would have stroked out and died. Thank God for my wife who insisted that day. Now I've been okay. This has been more than 10 years now. I take my drugs. They give me drugs for high blood pressure. They give me drugs for cholesterol. No big deal. Every morning I wake up, I take it. There's no problem. This is it right here. Okay? The world is not end. I'm living life. I'm looking younger. Because I finally went. Now, I'm not saying people should go and start filing rubbish papers. I'm saying at least try to figure out what are your options. I've seen people who qualify for good benefits when they finally come into my office and we talk about it, but somehow they've been here for 10 years and never applied. I've seen people wait years to get legal advice. But somehow, like me and my doctor, they were afraid of what they're going to hear, so they don't even want to talk about it, thinking that it will go away. I've seen people trust WhatsApp University instead of actual immigration lawyers. They go to some WhatsApp group, they say, this one said that, this one said that, and they believe that's the truth. I've seen people spend years hiding from problems that could have been solved with a simple strategy. And that's why I say something that may sound harsh, it may sound unempathetic, but it has to be said. Many immigrants have already deported themselves emotionally long before any government even ever touches them. And they say cowards die many times before they are dead. That one is in the book somewhere. Think about that. They are here physically, but mentally, they've already given up. Every news story scares them. Every rumor sends them into a panic mode. Every policy announcement becomes the end of the world for them. You see them literally shaking. And yet, they've never talked to anybody to diagnose their problem, as far as America is concerned. It's insane. I've seen somebody who was actually subpoenaed to go and give evidence in court, and he was giving evidence about crime that has been committed. And this person has been in America for years. He didn't even know that he could get a T visa or S visa for that thing that he's doing for free, because he never spoke to anybody. Because the crime happened to happen in the place where she was working illegally. And I started laughing. I'm like, you just threw away your green card right there, because you could have talked to a lawyer. Your lawyer will have applied for that before you give any evidence for nobody. Now you put your life on the risk. You've got to go testify, and you got nothing to show for it. So, my friends, that's no way to live, to be hiding, refusing to drive, refusing to go somewhere because you don't know. Now, it's different if you have got to diagnose your issue and your lawyer say, oh, no, don't drive. Oh, no, don't do that. At least you know you have gotten some information. Now, don't misunderstand me. Immigration enforcement is very real. Visa denials are very real. I'm not going to bullshit you. Deportation is real. It happens every day. The challenges are real. People are getting picked up every day, and that's the truth. But fear is not a strategy. Panic is not a strategy. The same way I tell even people who go to church that hope is not a strategy. After you have finished praying, what do you want to do about your life? You got to have something. God can't bless the work of your hands unless you have work that you're doing. So prayer is good. Go to prayers. I'm with that. But what's your plan? Hiding is not a strategy. Rumors are not a strategy. Just this yesterday, I just consulted with somebody who was stunned to hear that he could actually apply for green card, because the rumors he has been hearing out there is that everybody in those banned countries, none of them can change their status, or none of them can apply for green card. And I'm like, I first said it, it's like trying to contradict me. Then I said it again, and I'm like, you're a very intelligent boy. You have a master's degree. Don't be behaving like this. Have you researched what they're telling you? Because most of those banned stuff apply to those who are outside the country, trying to get the green card or trying to get the kind of visa you're trying to get, like L1 that he was trying to get. If you're already here, a lot of those ban requirements do not apply to you. But there's a lot of rumors everywhere. There's a lot of talk on WhatsApp groups. So people assume some stuff. So it was turned. And this somebody who went to Ivy League school, who works for a very big international company. So you just can't assume anything anybody is telling you is the truth. You got to research it. You got to talk to professionals. So what am I saying? Hiding is not a strategy. Rumors, assumptions are not a strategy. What works is information. What works is preparation. What works is knowing your rights. What works is you coldly looking at where you stand, looking at your situation, and then talking to those who might be able to help you, might be able to give you direction, and let them, even if the diagnosis is that you're a dead person, you are not going anywhere, at least go and get it first before you die, right? And my phone is blowing up here. Listen to me. See, the lack of information, yes, is a very, very deadly disease. Okay? There are so many nuances to all these things now. What works is having a plan. That's why this show exists. Not to spread fear. I don't do that. There's already enough fear on social media. This show exists to replace fear with facts, to replace rumors with real knowledge, to replace panic with strategy, because the American dream is hard enough right now already. You don't need fear turning it into a nightmare for you. So speaking of facts, when we come back, it's going to be time for the Banwo immigration brief, or the Rottweiler immigration brief. What are the latest things that have happened in the last few days that might be of concern to you? Because the best immigration developments of the week, what they mean, and what you should actually be paying attention to, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about that. Don't go anywhere. Remember, you are watching the Immigrant Survivor Show with Dr. Okpe Banwo, the immigration Rottweiler himself. And we're on day 3 of a 30-day immigrant survival marathon. You want to go on this marathon with us? Maybe in the process, you might even hear some things that may change your immigration posture. Maybe you have given up. Maybe now some of the stuff we are going to be talking about in this show, all of a sudden you found out that maybe you can start to do something about it. Don't go away. I'll be right back. My name is Okpe Banwo, and they call me the immigration Rottweiler. Not because I bark, not because I make noise, but because I don't let go. When your case gets tough, when the system pushes back, when others start telling you there is nothing we can do, that's when you call me. Because once I lock into your case, I don't stop, I don't quit, and I don't back down until we get results. So go book a consultation on speakwithokped.com now, and let's activate the Rottweiler mode on your case before the immigration knocks on your door. All right, welcome back. Now let's get into the between yesterday and today, America is at that point now where you go to bed one night, by the time you wake up, maybe 4 or 5 new immigration developments has happened. Nothing, no big deal has happened overnight. We talked to you about all that happened the day before and day before. But just a few things for me to reiterate for some of you who might not be aware of it. One of it, for instance, is that there are some protests in New Jersey recently, okay, where immigrants who were locked up in very deplorable situation went on strike and went on riot in the New Jersey ICE Delany Hall facility, and that has prompted a mandatory curfew, and they had to set up a protected zone around the site. That's to tell you that this thing is really getting out of hand, and now it's a lot of questions are being asked in Congress as to how ICE is carrying out its duties. That's a story you need to keep watching. It's a developing story as far as all these detention sites that they are putting immigrants right now. And people are beginning to protest about it. And I thought you should know about that. And then another positive news for immigrants, that because most times all we have these days is negative news. I don't want to be like that. I want to share some of the good news with you. Now, remember, there was a shooting in Minneapolis. One guy called Christian Castro, who was taken into custody. This Christian Castro guy is actually the one that shot. He shot an immigrant in Minneapolis, and now he has been arrested in Texas. His name is Christian Castro. He was taken into custody on charges of assault and falsely reporting a crime in connection with the shooting of a Venezuelan man. So America has not really abandoned immigrants. There's some that are really working hard to make sure, yeah, we're going to enforce the law in America, but people still needed to be treated with dignity. People still needed to be treated within the law. And when immigration officers get out of hand, there are those who are still holding them accountable. Just in case you think America has lost its mind about rule of law. No, they have not. There are still some people that are actively, and I was very excited to hear that that officer has been arrested in Texas and is going to face the law. A little bit of bad news. ICE is now exploring, maybe it's good news in a way, because they want to sell some mega warehouses that they had purchased for mass detention. Now, people typically are detained in prison when they are arrested, but ICE has been purchasing some mega warehouses where they put human beings when they are not crates of Coca-Cola, when they are not crates of ice. But now, with a lot of pressure, we just heard from them now that they are actually exploring selling them out so that they won't use them for detention of immigrants anymore. So to me, that's also a win for immigrants. Shows that people are beginning to really, really kick back against some of the extraneous actions of our immigration system. Like I've said yesterday and the day before, I have no problem with America enforcing its immigration laws. Every country tries to protect its own people. And I also believe only an irresponsible government will leave its borders open to all comers. It doesn't happen in UK. It doesn't happen in Nigeria. It doesn't happen in anywhere except America. So if the government now says we want to tidy it up, want to get rid of illegal aliens, I have no problem with that. Mine is that they should do it within the ambit of the law. They should do it with humanity and be able to do it in a way that does not rob America of its reputation as the last hope of the immigrant. We all come here, myself inclusive, because we believe America can protect us. America can give us a new lease of life. And it would be a shame if that dream or that desire is allowed to be turned into a nightmare in a way that robs immigrants of their dignity. That's where I stand. And my job as an immigration lawyer is to fight the best for every immigrant that walks through my door within the ambit of the law. America is still a country of laws with all this going on. And our job is to make sure that every loophole that is there in the law, everything that you can fight to protect yourself within the law is fair game in America, because that's what makes it great. All right, that's it for the updates tonight. And we're going to go now, when I come back, into the Q&A session of today, which is really most of what we are going to be doing all month long, because people want to ask questions about what exactly what is happening with them, about what is going on. They have questions in their mind. Some of them don't have money to go talk to a lawyer. So we want to spend this next 30 days to answer as many questions as we can for you. Myself and my team of at the Immigrant Survivor Show, they work hard all day to make sure that they gather your questions wherever you have been posting them on any of our platforms, the one you posted on Facebook, the one you posted on LinkedIn, and all that, so that we can provide answers for you. We also take questions live. If you happen to be here and you have questions, just type it into the chat. Hopefully, it will come out on in our studio. For some reason, the platform that we are using now is called StreamYard, and some of the questions don't come into the studio while we are live. We only see them after the show is over. But some come in. If you are watching on YouTube or you are watching on Facebook, sometimes it comes into the studio. Please do that so that we can give you this free service of answering any question that you bring our way while this show is live. We will answer it. And even after the show is over and we are not able to cover your question, we will get it and provide you answers on the next edition of the show. It's about the least we can do in helping fellow immigrants to at least come to grips with the reality of what is happening in America. So when I come back, we will take the first question. My team is ready. They're here with us, and then they can help you put answers to some of this stuff. Are you in deportation proceedings? You need to hear this. If you have received a notice to appear or missed an immigration court hearing or fear that ICE is coming for you, what to do next is critical. Many people lose their cases not because they had no options, but because they acted too late or followed bad advice on social media. I'm Okwebanwo, an immigration attorney with over 29 years of experience in immigration law, with over 12,000 cases handled in the process. One thing I have learned in all those years of helping so many people successfully fight their deportation case nationwide across many states is that deportation isn't always automatic just because I charge you to court or want you out of here. Depending on your situation, you may actually qualify for asylum, cancellation of removal, adjustment of status, convention against torture, or some other forms of relief that you have probably never heard of. Also, I know for a fact that immigration court punishes delay in putting your defenses together quickly with an experienced professional. So please click the link below to book a deportation survivor strategy consultation session with me today. On this exclusive one-on-one call that we can do either on Zoom or in person at our offices, I will evaluate your case honestly, identify your defenses for you, and help you map out your exact next legal steps to give yourself the best chance to win. Fellow immigrant, doing nothing is not a strategy. Waiting can cost you your case and turn your American dream into a serious nightmare. So take control of your destiny today and book your consultation session now. You will be glad you did. All right, welcome back to the Immigrant Survivor Show with Dr. Okwebanwo, and you are watching the 3 of 30 days of Immigrant Survivor Marathon, our giveaway show to mark the official opening of our office in Dallas. For those of you who have not seen how beautiful our new office is in Dallas, let me show off a little bit for you. We're ready for you in the Dallas area, and we service clients nationwide, whether you want to come into the office physically or wherever you are in the nation. We stand ready to serve you. We moved into Dallas area just about a month ago, and this month is when we are officially commissioning the office. This is what our new modest office looks like, and hopefully we're going to be growing into it like the one in Nebraska, where we're now on 2 floors in our own building, but we're starting very modestly in Dallas, and this is what our office right now looks like at the Arlington town of the Dallas Metroplex. Alrighty, that's our office there. We are even dedicating. We have immigrants wall of fame. You can see some of the pictures in that video where we are celebrating some of the biggest immigrants that have passed through this nation. People like Hakeem the Dream, like Albert Einstein, Elon Musk, guys who have made their mark on America as a way of reminding Americans this nation was built by immigrants, along, of course, with those who own the country. So we look forward to seeing you guys in our new office digs in Arlington, Texas. Now let's get to the questions for today as my team begins to bring up the questions for me one by one as you type them on the screen. Let me Grace, want to put up the first one? There we go. Where is that? It says, will omitting a prior foreign marriage and divorce on my I-4885 and I-140 and DS-160 affect my N-400 eligibility? And how can I correct the error before naturalization? I don't like a lot of abbreviations for the benefit of those who may not even know what all of this means. I-145 is like the adjustment of status form that you fill. The I-140 is the application you file to qualify yourself for a green card based on workers as an employment-based worker. And DS-160 is another form you complete, while N-400 is your application for citizenship, just for the benefit of those who may not know what all those whatever meant. Okay, so basically this person is talking about prior foreign marriage and whether disclosing it could be a problem or not. Well, I have to be honest, this is an issue that should be addressed carefully before you file your N-400. But it does not automatically mean your naturalization case will be denied. The key question is whether the omission of those prior marriages, and there's a lot of them, those prior marriages and divorces was a genuine mistake, or whether immigration could view it as a material misrepresentation, in which case there's a problem, big one. So during the naturalization process, immigration has the authority to review not only your citizenship eligibility, but also the circumstances under which you obtained your green card. Now you might be asking, why does this matter? See, when you file your application for citizenship, that's the N-400, immigration may compare your answers against previous forms that you have filed. I tell all my clients that, like your Form I-140 to get approved as an employment-based person, your 485, your 160 applications, your previous visa applications, your entire immigration record, your marriage and divorce, they're going to look at all of that. And if immigration discovers that a prior marriage was omitted, then the officer may ask you, may ask himself or ask you, was the omission intentional? Was the omission the marriage that was not disclosed? Was the divorce legally valid? And by the way, they are treating divorces from many of those banned countries automatically as fake divorces, whether it's real or not. In places like Nigeria, for instance, Togo, when you submit a divorce that happened in Nigeria, immigration now automatically assume that divorce is a fake paper. I'm not telling you theory or what I think, this is what we have encountered. Now they have to go and investigate. And you have to now have the burden of proving that your divorce is actually legit. Can I ask you whether the omission will not affect your eligibility? Because if you are previously married before and you didn't disclose it, that could even cost you your green card that you have right now, even though it's citizenship you are looking for. Because that is a material thing, and materiality is critical. Now, of course, if your basis for trying to get a green card is based on an employment-based category, a prior marriage that has already ended before your adjustment of status may not have affected the eligibility for the green card itself, right? Because if you are getting your green card based on employment category, whether you are married or not married is irrelevant. But immigration may still scrutinize the omission. So generally, the risk is lower if the prior marriage was legally terminated before you got the immigration benefit. If the marriage was unrelated to the basis of the green card, like I said, if you're trying to get a green card based on B1, B2, or any of those employment-based H1B and all of that, being married or not married is not material to you getting that benefit. So they may not go after you so hard about that, provided they are sure there was no attempt to try to conceal it for some reason, and you did not get any immigration benefit through that prior marriage. If you didn't do any of that, you may get away with it. But if your marriage, if your green card category is based on what is called family category, like married to a U.S. citizen, then it's a very material factor, because it could be that you are not even eligible to get green card at the time you got it, if you are still married, or if your marriage was divorce was fake, or your divorce was not properly done. And I've seen lots of clients who have gone through that before they come to our office, because many of them, they will file the paper themselves and then they get it denied because they are now telling them that your divorce before that time was fake or was not properly done. That means the American person you married, you are not legitimate, you are not legally able to marry at that time because you are still married in Nigeria or in Togo or Cameroon or South Africa. That's why so the fact that you have divorce paper in your hand does not mean they're going to agree that you are properly divorced. That's for those of you who do these filings yourself. You need to get the proper, not just the documentation, the supporting documentation to show that your divorce was genuine, your divorce was real. They no longer just accept the paper that you got in Nigeria. You have to produce a little bit more to convince them that you did not do wuru-wuru divorce, that your divorce is real. So what should you do? Because I know the whole essence of this show is to try to guide you on what you should do without trying to give you just a little fact and then say, come and pay us money. I don't do that. I give you the full information, whether you're in consultation or not. So here's what I think you should do. Do not attempt to ignore the issue. When you are preparing your N400, that is your application for citizenship, accurately disclose all prior marriages and divorces. Obtain certified copies of marriage and divorce records, certified copies. If possible, also get copies of transcripts of their record. Be prepared to explain why the information was omitted from your prior filings, which is probably your green card. Why did you omit that you were divorced when you are getting green card if it happened before then? And if it happened after, you have to be very clear. You have to consider submitting a written explanation. I tell any client that comes to me with this kind of situation, I tell them, write a formal explanation before you even go. You don't have to submit it until they ask, and make sure it is signed before a notary public, like an affidavit, explaining your divorce, when it happened, why it happened, the court it happened, the judge before whom it happened, and then you also have a certified copy of that divorce and possible extract of the divorce records. If possible, if there was a publication of it in a newspaper or in the court registry, take a screenshot of it, put all of it together, because the onus is on you right now to prove that there is no hanky-panky. So my recommended action here is that before you file that N400, I strongly recommend having an experienced immigration attorney review the original I-485, review the I-140 that you filed, review your DS filings, your marriage certificates, your divorce decrees, and any supporting records. Because naturalization allows immigration to re-examine the underlying green card process. You don't want to be looking for citizenship and then at the end of the day, you lose your green card. It is important to address the issue proactively rather than waiting for USCIS to discover it during the interview. In that case, you are toast. And the outcome will likely depend on whether the omission was truly inadvertent and whether the undisclosed marriage had any bearing on your eligibility for permanent residence. In many cases, honest mistakes can be explained, but a legal review before you file is highly recommended. And I'm not saying this to even get your case. Find a lawyer near you. Immigration is not something you make assumptions now. In the days before it got so serious, all you will need to submit is a photocopy of your divorce record. Now that's no longer enough. You're going to bring certified copy. You're going to bring surrounding circumstances to show, especially if you're from one of those countries that they believe that a lot of fraud is happening. So yes, if you are divorced and you didn't disclose it, it's a very material fact. Talk to a lawyer before you move to the next step, because that little thing will turn your U.S. immigration dreams into a nightmare fairly quickly. That little money you're going to spend to get consultation, I believe, is the best money you will spend. Well, hopefully, I gave you enough information to be able to make an informed decision here. I don't rush these questions. I want to give as thorough on each of them as I can. All right, can we pull up the next question here? Okay. Can I work a second job, a second W-2 job, while my EB-2 I-485 is pending, and I have an EAD, that's work permit, by the way. For those of you who don't know what that is, okay, can I work a second job while my EB-2 is I-485 is pending? I have a work permit now. If I keep my sponsoring employer as my primary job, are there AC-21 or tax risks? You guys put a lot of these technical things, but we'll break it down. Essentially, what this person is asking is that can they work a second job if they have an EB-2 I-485 pending? Now, EB-2 is employment-based category 2, which is you are working for an employer and then you are filing a green card based on that through that employer, obviously, from what this person is saying, okay, because he's talking about sponsoring an employer. That can he work another job that is different from the sponsoring employer? And is there any risk in terms of the AC-21 that I'm going to explain in a minute? Now, based on the facts that you have provided, Ajan, it is generally possible to hold a second W-2 job while your current I-485 is pending, and that you are working pursuant to a legit work permit. But there are very important considerations that you must be very careful about. Your pending I-485 and the approved I-140, which is what qualified you to fight for green card, do not automatically prohibit secondary employment. If you have a valid work permit, if you have a work permit in your hand, it does not prevent you from getting a secondary employment, because the employment authorization card typically authorizes employment with any U.S. employer. However, the key issue is you must maintain the underlying employment-based green card case. In other words, company A is the one that is the primary sponsor of your green card. You have to maintain that employment, even if you are doing a second job, because since your sponsoring company remains your primary employer, and it must intend to employ you in the sponsored position upon approval of a green card. So a second job generally does not by itself create a problem. The problem will arise, or the concern arises, if immigration concludes, and they can do that, that either the sponsoring employer no longer intends to employ you in the permanent position, because they might think that's why you're getting a second job. So there must be thorough documentation to show that the sponsoring employer is still interested in employing you in the permanent position. Immigration may also be concerned that you no longer intend to work for the sponsoring employer after you get your green card, that I just try to have your what is it called, your getaway get out of jail card by starting to work for a second employer now, that maybe when your stuff is approved, you actually want to run away. You don't want to work for the company that actually brought you to the dance. That is a bad thing. So you have to watch out for that very, 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 very seriously. Now, as for the AC-21, that is simply a remedy or a solution that immigration brought to allow you to be able to continue to work, especially for a second employer, if your I-485 has been pending for a few times. For instance, maybe after it's been pending for more than 6 months. you may have portability protections under the AC-21. The AC-21 is one that allows you to be able to port your employment from one employer to the other without losing the green card that you filed through the first employer. So if you remain employed by the sponsoring employer, then AC-21 portability may not even need to be invoked. You are allowed to be able to port. But if you are leaving the current sponsoring employer, the new position generally should be in the same or similar occupational classification in order to preserve your eligibility. If you are working as an accountant for company A and they are filing for you for green card through EB2 for that, and you want to get another job with another employer, it has to be in the accounting field. You can't go and get a job as an agriculturist or as a lawyer or as something unrelated to accounting and finance. Then that will be a problem. So a second concurrent job does not automatically trigger AC-21 issues, as long as the underlying sponsored position remains bona fide and in place. So you can port. Okay, I hope you get that. Because these little things, they trip people up a lot. Now, about the tax implications. From the IRS perspective, to the best of my knowledge, there's generally no prohibition against having two W-2 jobs. Lots of people in America, they work 2-3 jobs. So having two W-2 jobs by itself is not a problem. But you must understand, both employers will report wages separately. So you may need to adjust how much they withhold from your two pays to avoid underpayment of taxes. You must also understand that your combined income from those two jobs could place you in a higher tax bracket, in which case you pay more money to government. And of course, you must maintain accurate records of all your earnings and tax documents. Because if you violate IRS rules, and I'm not a tax consultant, I'm not speaking as a tax consultant, go talk to a tax person. If IRS feels that you are trying to charge them of their money, not only do you lose your status, you can go to jail. America does not play with this money. So as an immigrant, that's an area you don't want to mess with. Get professional help as far as reporting your tax and your income is. I've only spoken about the immigration consequences of all of that. So that will be that will be my answer to you on this one. All right. I hope I make some sense. And for you, let's take the next question here. Okay, guys, let's have it. Okay. Can I safely travel abroad with an expired 2-year green card and a valid I-751 or a 751 extension? Okay. Despite a past driving without license citation and minor traffic violations. Okay, great. I got that. So can you travel abroad with an expired 2-year green card and a valid extension letter? No, you don't have the extension itself, but you have a valid extension letter, despite having a driving without license ticket and some minor traffic violations. All right, great. Based on the fact that you have provided your prior driving without a citation or a dismissed stop sign charge and minor traffic violations generally will not by themselves make you inadmissible or prevent you from entry when you leave the US. Those are minor stuff. The fact that these incidents occurred before your green card approval and that USCIS or immigration still granted you conditional permanent residence is also a positive factor, because typically if it's going to be a problem, immigration won't give you the conditional permanent resident, and they're not going to give you that. Additionally, an expired 2-year green card together with a valid receipt for your extension generally serves as evidence of continued lawful resident status. But will I travel if I were you? No, I won't. It's not likely to hold you when you're coming back, but you don't know the immigration officer you are going to get. And I'm being honest with you, no attorney can guarantee admission at the border. Every returning permanent resident is subject to inspection by the Customs and Border Patrol, the CBP. So before you travel, if you have to travel, I would prefer you do not if you don't have to. But if you have to, make sure you carry, number one, that's your expired conditional green card that you have. Carry the original of your I-751, that's the receipt notice for your extension letter. Carry the passport from your home country. Carry copies of relevant court records showing the outcome of that driving without license case and the dismissal. That's very important. You got to carry disposition record because your name will pop up. That's one of the things Donald Trump has probably done. Everywhere they post your name now, everywhere you have a record in America shows up. Before, it only shows up in federal when immigration prints you. They have to now dig deeper into their systems to get your record from other states. But now, when you put your fingerprint on there, all your records globally is going to show up on the system. And that driving with expired skin is going to show up. And they're not going to let you in unless you clear it. That's why you have to have copies of the relevant certified copies showing how the driving without license case was dismissed. So you can show that that's a disposition record that was dismissed. You are not jailed or you are not fined, whatever. Those are very key. And of course, you should have evidence that your I-751 remains pending, meaning that before you travel, you want to print the status report on the website of immigration that shows the date that you checked last. And then before you come back, wherever you are in the world, go to the internet and print out another copy. So, to summarize this, based on the facts that you described for me, you don't have a DUI, you don't have a drug offense, you have no criminal cases involving fraud or violence, no prior removal issues. Your case does not appear to present any type of criminal history that will prevent you from coming back. But I always say this. If you have concerns about recent policy changes or want a case, because I'm talking generally right now, if you want a case-specific risk assessment before you leave, it will be prudent and wise for you to go talk to an immigration attorney. I'll be more than happy to talk to you when you book a call at speakwithokwe.com. But if that's not feasible, talk to an immigration attorney in your area. This is not about me, this is about you now. Make sure you talk to an immigration attorney to review your complete immigration and criminal history. Because they are very brutal where criminal record is concerned now. You got to have solid legal advice before you go, or you may not make it back. It may look like a trivial thing to you right now, but we've seen some of the weirdest stuff going on with immigration. I've seen them bring up records of 45 years, 50 years, where the person didn't even go to jail. Minor cases is coming up on their record. And you better have your disposition record. Hopefully, you're listening to me well and you're listening good. We've had instances about where people are just stubborn. And they just say, well, no, it's not. They go and listen to some WhatsApp guy. And then when they're coming back, they get held at the border and now they're looking for lawyers. At that time, what you could have used $100 to solve is now a $10,000, $20,000 problem. Because no lawyer is going to be doing deportation case with you for $5,000 anymore. Those days are gone. So it's better you want to try to solve this before you go. All right, enough said on that. Let's have the next one. I love the second one. I'll be the next one. Let's go at it. I'm a stalking victim with an expiring protective order. Should I hire a civil attorney for long-term restraining order, an immigration attorney for a U visa, or both? So you know what a U visa is, Tricia. Okay. Based on the fact that you have described, and we have put your question on the screen for those who are watching from home to be able to understand what this is about, I would say you should strongly consider consulting both a civil lawyer and an immigration attorney, because both of them are going to handle different parts of this situation. You are talking about a protection order, and you are talking about possibly getting a benefit from that stalking that you are experiencing. So because for the civil attorney part, because your emergency protective order is expiring, from my understanding, a California attorney experienced in civil harassment restraining orders is the one that can help you request a longer term that may include no contact provisions, stay away from your orders from your home, firearms protection, and all that stuff. So you need to get a civil harassment, a lawyer that deals with civil harassment to help you get civil harassment restraining orders. We do not do that. That's not an immigration thing. So you need a lawyer specifically for that. Now, on the second issue about whether you can apply for any kind of relief based on this situation, you may also be entitled, and this is where I'm coming in as an immigration lawyer now, you may also be entitled to victim services and notification rights through the prosecutor's office. Okay? Those things they interface a lot, especially for somebody like you. A victim's advocate can help you receive notice of court hearing, receive release of custody, status changes, understanding the criminal process. All of that is still outside of immigration lawyers' expertise. But our office have done so many of this, is why I can even talk a little bit about this. But you need somebody who practices civil or criminal law to help you with all of that. Now, let's talk about the immigration side now. Because you talk about U visa, whether you are eligible for U visa, that's an immigration thing. U visa evaluation. If you are not a U.S. attorney, if you are not a U.S. citizen, I think I'm getting a little bit tired here. If you are not a U.S. citizen and you have suffered substantial harm as a victim of a qualifying criminal activity, then you may need to consult an immigration attorney, because you might have a potential to get a U visa. Because stalking is among the offenses that may support a U visa application when the victim either suffers substantial or mental abuse, if you've suffered mental abuse from this stalking, or you possess information about this criminal activity called stalking that is doing against you, have information about who the person is and how they can jail him, or you are likely to, or you have been providing or likely to be helpful to law enforcement authorities in dealing with that stalker. So whether your case qualifies will depend on the facts. I don't want to mislead you on air, but you may have a potential to get a U visa for that stalking that is happening to you. But it will depend on the facts, available evidence, and whether a law enforcement agency is willing to complete the required certification, because to be able to get the U visa, there is a certification that a law enforcement agency has to do that will then enable your immigration lawyer to apply for U visa for you. So here's my recommendation on this one. Because your protective order is expiring soon, like I said earlier, I will prioritize, because your safety, your life is more important than any paper. I will prioritize contacting a California civil attorney immediately, since you're in California, to pursue a longer term restraining order. Don't mess with that. A stalker sometimes are the ones that turn out to be murderers. They can harm you. Don't just think it's a joke. You need to get a civil attorney in California to help you with that. At the same time, if you are not a US citizen, which obviously you appear not to be because you are talking about U visa, then schedule a consultation with an immigration lawyer who is experienced in U visas so that they can evaluate your eligibility and discuss how to obtain the law enforcement certification. You need a law enforcement certification to be able to turn that into papers in America. And if you are going through what you just said, you may have a very strong eligibility for this, but it's not something you can just do on your own. So pursue both forms of legal assistance is what I recommend. It's the surest way to protect your safety and also preserve your legal immigration options, which might be available to you because of this. But please do not take this talking thing like a joke. I've seen people who are stuck, and at the end of the day, the lady got killed or seriously damaged. There's nothing like joke, oh, I know the boy, I know the whatever. Stalkers are dangerous. And if you don't have papers, this might be a great way for you to get yourself your permanent papers in America. Don't let the opportunity slip. But go talk to a lawyer who can help you go through it or help you get your eligibility sorted quickly. All right, hope you guys are enjoying or you're learning from the Q&A sessions today. If you have questions you need to ask us, please post it wherever you are watching this. Even if we don't get to it today, we will definitely get to it tomorrow. We have a whole 30 days where we want to provide almost like a free 2-hour consultation to immigrants in America through this show, meaning that you can ask any question you want. We'll answer it without charging you any money. But if you want to talk to us one-on-one now about your specific case, please book a call at speakwithokpe.com. We can do it on Zoom, or we can do it in our offices in Arlington. That's 420 East Lamar Boulevard, somewhere in Arlington. Please, we are waiting for you. Now, I have a newsletter that I'm publishing weekly now, which is a newsletter to give you updated information, advice, tips about how to survive as an immigrant in America. I want to encourage you to subscribe to it. It's banwolaw.net/newsletter. You have nothing to lose but a lot to gain by subscribing to that. Let me see if I can put that on the screen. You want to join the newsletter, sign up. It's a free sign up for newsletter at banwolaw.net/newsletter. And you'll be one of the first to receive my bulletins and my weekly newsletter as it comes out direct in your email and direct onto your phone. Go do that right now. Put the link. Let me see if I can put that in the chat for those who can click from the chat to go there right now. Okay. Put it in the comment section. I don't think my comment section is working here. Okay, I think it did. Okay, banwolaw.net/newsletter. You're live with Okpe Banwo on Immigrant Survivor Show. Okpe and the 4 Musketeers. They are here to help you understand the American issues a lot better. When we come back, we'll take a few more questions and then we'll call it a day for tonight. Right after this timeout. I'll be right back. Don't go away. There's still a lot to talk about. I did not come to America looking for opportunity. I came here running for my life. Soldiers were looking for me in Nigeria because I spoke out against a military dictator. But when I finally arrived in America, I was too afraid to even ask for help. See, in the early 1990s, Nigeria was under a military dictatorship led by one General Ibrahim Babangida, and I was a young lawyer and a pro-democracy activist speaking out against the regime. After organizing a national conference on the role of women in the promised Third Republic, a democracy that the dictator had promised, but later reneged on. I was arrested and briefly jailed for about 10 days. When I was released, everything in my life practically began to collapse. My business, my peace of mind, my ability to live normally. Soldiers were looking for me. I lived every day wondering if I would be arrested again or maybe simply shot, as many were. Alrighty. Okay, that was just a brief a brief cut from my own story. I know many of us came to this nation with a lot of fear, with a lot of something driving you or something chasing you. But I'm letting you know that you are not alone. There is nothing you are going through that someone like me has also not gone through before. That's why I'm very empathetic. I know where you are, I know where you stand, I know what you are thinking. So I'm definitely in a better position to be able to help you deal with whatever is chasing you or what has chased you to America. Unlike maybe other lawyers who have never really experienced the immigration trauma before. I went through exactly what you are going through, and that is why I fight for immigrants. Here's what I had to say about that when I was telling my story. I knew I could apply for asylum, but everyone around me kept saying the same thing. Don't show up. If you go there, they will deport you. This was 1995. There was no internet, no easy way to research the law for myself. So like many immigrants today, though they have internet, I was forced to rely on rumors, fear, and bad advice. For months, I lived in hiding. I had law degrees, 3 of them, years of professional experience, and a very strong record of political activism. Yet, there I was in America, afraid to step outside, unable to work legally, wondering if I had made the worst mistake of my life. At some point, I seriously considered going back to Nigeria and simply taking my chances with the military government that had been hunting me. Then one morning I woke up and asked myself a very simple question. Okwe, are you going to live the rest of your life in fear? There and then, I decided that whatever will happen, I will face it. So I went to the immigration office in downtown New York and asked for the asylum application. 2 weeks later, I received a letter summoning me for an immigration interview. Pandemonium broke out. Everyone around me told me not to go. Yes, everybody was afraid for me. They begged me not to go. They said it was a trap. But I'd made up my mind. I'd made my decision. So I showed up. I told my story. I showed the asylum officer the newspaper articles documenting my persecution and the wanted notices that soldiers had posted on my door back home that my wife had graciously sent to me by courier before the interview. A few weeks later, after that interview, I received a letter in the mail. My asylum had been granted. Overnight, my life changed from fear to hope. Suddenly, the same people who had warned me not to go were now asking me to help them fill out their immigration papers. Yep, that's always it is. I talk about fear early on today. A lot of us are not doing anything because we are listening to the voice of fear. There's so many things. It's like somebody coming to the country afraid, or maybe they just destroy their houses in whether it's in South Africa, like those who escaped from there, or maybe Nigeria, where the Fulani herdsmen are killing people from everywhere. But they know they can't go back. They know they don't want to go back. They know a lot of their family members are being killed by these people. And yet, to go put in the asylum, they're afraid. And then 1 year will pass, then they are no longer eligible. That's what I talk about fear. It almost happened to me. And this was 1995. That's 31 years ago. Eventually, when I decided to go, it was so easy, because they needed was proof of what happened to me in my country. And I showed them. My wife sent me my all the newspaper cuttings. At least mine was even very public. I was in the newspaper for over a week over the issues that I had with Babangida. I was locked up and I was by soldiers and all of that stuff. Then the same people that were telling me not to go, now they were lining up in my house. They want me to help them. So fear sometimes, especially when you qualify, it's different if you don't qualify for anything. But you're not going to know whether you qualify or you don't qualify until you talk to a lawyer. WhatsApp is not going to help you because people are projecting the fear that they are getting. And you cannot operate at a level higher than the person that you are staying with. I know that firsthand. When I first came to America, the people I was staying with in Nebraska, every one of them was telling me I need to go do CNA as if that is the only job that is available. Because that's what they knew. When I suggested, let me go start a staffing agency, they are looking at me like I'm insane. That you mean a black man, you start a staff agency in Nebraska. How is that possible? This is 1995. And I listened to them for a while. After a while, I said, no, I'm not doing this CNA work. Highest is that nobody will patronize me with my accent. I will go start this staffing agency. And guess what? The first year, we did $448,000. Second year, $1.4 million. That's how I made my money in America for the first time. By daring, meanwhile, everybody around me are doing CNA. I ended up employing all of them. True story. I employed all of them and their friends. Some of them have been here for 10 years before me. Why? Because I refuse to give in to fear. I refuse to listen to the limited knowledge of those that I know. And they were sincere. It's what they know. People cannot advise you beyond their own knowledge. So it's not that they are bad. They are very nice people. They put me in their house, obviously. They must love me. They don't even know me from Adam. They feed me. They put me in their house. But all they know, or all they knew is that when you come into America, the best job to do is CNA. They don't think that, oh, you, and some of them have degrees. But because that is what one person is saying to the other person, saying to the other person, that you can't just start a business like that. You need $1 million. You need $500,000. That's what they were telling me. And I ended up starting my own staffing agency with no money. No money. I had to start figuring out how to pay salary after week 2 and juggling the whole thing. But I became a millionaire in less than 2 years. So same way with this immigration thing. I'm not saying there is a solution for everybody. Some really genuinely don't have a solution. But you are not going to know until you actually sit down with those who should know. And when you also know there's an option there for you, you are not going to know until you go out there and put in that paper. Fear will only make it worse. All those who are living in all those areas where their family has been killed, their family have been kidnapped, and all of that, they're here and they are not trying to go take advantage of that. Then when that 1 year passes, it passes. That's it. Nobody cares at that point, even if it is true that your brother is killed, even if it is true that you can't go back to your country. You didn't tell anybody about it. The law is that within a year, you're supposed to tell them. Now, I'm not saying go file a frivolous application that will only get you disbarred or that will only get you deported. You don't need to do it. What I'm saying is maybe you could have applied for EB1. In fact, that actually is another thing I want to talk about. Until you talk to a professional, you don't know. I have a lady who is less than 3 years out of school, just got a master's, and was talking to me about filing EB2. And I look at this lady. She was very active in school. She was president of the Clinical Society. She has worked in a bank before she went to do her master's, where she was actually in charge of approving, for approving something about transportation. She was very critical in her organization. She was only 26 years old. I look at this thing and I'm like, this lady can be qualified for EB1. EB1 is supposed to be a genius visa, right? But what you don't know is that you only need to show 3 out of 10 criteria. But somehow they put it in her head that she cannot qualify. That is for professors. Like another client told me just 3 days ago when I mentioned the EB1, I said, that's for very top level professor. I said, who told you? And I said, that's what they are saying. That's what I said. Then go and Google. At least you can Google what are the requirements for AB1. You'll be shocked. 10 criteria. If you can qualify on 3, you win. Some of them are simple. Some of the criteria is as simple as publications been made about you, about your work before. Do you occupy a critical role? What is critical role does not mean you have to be CEO. If people cannot get paid unless you sign some paper, that's a critical role. If anything can be argued as a critical role, if it is critical. Critical means they need you in that organization. Maybe you are the one that is even doing an interview for your company. That's a critical role. Maybe you work in accounts. Nobody gets paid unless you do your job. That's a critical role. Something as simple as that. Do you belong to organizations where they have to invite you, where it's not you just pay a due, but they invite you to become a member of that organization? Critical role in the president of a university society club. That's part of the criteria. Have you been a member where you have occupied a critical role in the organization? And I was telling this guy that your notary public, that you are president of your university, that's a critical role. And we argued it out, and it was one of the few EB1s that I got approved with no RFE. They didn't even query it. 26 years old. You look at it, she doesn't even have a job. So what I'm saying is that sometimes immigration is paperwork. The language is very clear. Don't remove yourself. I'm not saying everybody qualifies. Maybe you don't. But don't just listen to that guy who doesn't have paper, who's telling you cannot file for EB1. Go talk to a lawyer or research or ChatGPT. Do something. Am I qualified for EB1 or not? It will tell you. It will give you the criteria. Then you look at what you have. Whether anybody is telling you qualify or not, you know what your qualification is. And you might be surprised. And in my mind, for those of you who might be out there thinking this, believe me or not, I still told a client 2 days ago that filing for EB1 is actually easier than filing for EB2. If, of course, you can get those two. You know why? Because EB1 is a checklist based. It's not discretionary. If you have those 3 out of 10 and you have the documentation to back it, they have to check it. 1, 2, 3, give you your paper, you go. EB2 is discretionary. Because especially the NIW, you have to then show them that it's in the national interest of America for them to approve you. So the person looking at it may not feel that you are anything special. That America, they should waive your job requirement for you. So it's subjective. The officer may not like your face. He may look at yourself and decide that this one does not have any national interest and denies you. But if it's EB1, and you have publications about you in the paper, you bring the publication. They cannot tell you that you are 22 or 28 or 30. They have to give you that. If you are president of an organization, the thing did not say the organization should be UNESCO. Okay? An organization that exists that has national recognition. Notary does, JCs, all those things that people do in school do. So I'm saying all of this, not to make things look simplistic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying sometimes we allow people to talk us out of qualifications that we legitimately qualify for. Why? Because when they tell you can't do it, your brain stops thinking. Especially if the person is like your brother or your sister or somebody supposed to know more than you. The fact that they are older than you in America does not mean they have more knowledge than you. Is a lie. Many of them don't know crap. They know only what somebody told them. You can't accept that. I'm not saying be reckless, but you can't be fearful either. And you have to find solution early. Don't wait for immigration to come get you. You should go get them first by making sure you do your research thoroughly. That's where we are. And I think we've done enough for today. We have a few more minutes. Let me see if we can take a few more questions here. I want to prioritize questions on the chat today, but I'm not seeing. They're not coming to my studio like that. Okay, let's see here. Here is an interesting one. Can I terminate my administratively closed removal case, expose my wife's alleged bigamy in family court, and then expedite my VAWA case due to family and business emergency? Interesting. See, we are creative here. That is so weird. So VAWA, for those of you who may not know what VAWA is violence against a woman, something that protects people, women that are involved in domestic violence. Okay, what this lady or this person is that? I'm trying to pull up the full. I can't see it, guys. Where did you put this? Because I know it's longer. It's longer. I remember seeing this earlier. It's a very long. Just a second here. Yeah, because this. Okay, I can't find that, but let's look at the question itself. Well, when your case is administratively closed, that means it's no longer in court. Now you're saying you want to expose your spouse's alleged bigamy in family court. I don't do family law, but exposing that bigamy, how does that help you for VAWA? I don't know if you're going to qualify that as abuse, because VAWA is about violence against spouses. So if you want to say bigamy is violent, I don't know how he was doing his bigamy. Was he carrying married a second wife? Is that a bigamous life? I don't know. And in any case, you can't expedite your VAWA case because of family and business emergency. It doesn't work like that, Gloria. You can file your VAWA assuming that you meet the conditions for violence against you by your spouse, but expediting it because of a business emergency, you need to swallow that one. You really cannot do that. But I'm not even sure that bigamy, your spouse's bigamy, is a ground for you to be protected under VAWA. I don't see any violence there, but that's an interesting proposition. But if you go and terminate your administratively closed case, which I don't even know how you're going to do that, because once your case is administratively closed, it is closed. You are not the one that closed it. It is immigration or the judge, unless you want to then go and withdraw the underlying application you filed. And when you do that, you're exposing yourself now that you have no status. You need to think it through. Exposing your spouse's alleged bigamy in family court, you also have to be careful not to expose yourself in the process. How long were you aware of this? Were you a party to the thing? What exactly is this bigamy? The person is married to two people. How did you find out? When did you find out? I'm not so sure that would be a smart move, because while you are trying to take down your spouse, you may end up taking down yourself. It's not like the olden days, where you can just make a claim and then you get away with it. All these issues, before you know it, the questions can be turned against you by immigration. Because if you are aware of the bigamy all along and you didn't talk, that means you're an accomplice. You have to understand that. In any case, you need to talk to an immigration lawyer to be very clear what are the circumstances of the bigamy, what actually happened in your marriage that could help you with VAWA, which has to do with that V there, stands for violence. Okay, how do you want to turn your spouse being married to 2 different people as a bigamy thing. I don't know. So you may want, there's a lot of, and that's why I'm looking for your full explanation about this. Before I give you advice, I'm very careful about advising you on this one, because in the course of trying to take down your spouse because you want to get a green card, you may end up hurting yourself the more. All right, that'll be my advice. Go book a consultation at speakwithokpe.com if you can, to come and talk to me. If you cannot, then you maybe go talk to a lawyer around you, because these are very, very serious matters. Now, this a VAWA thing, people think is such a direct entrance to getting papers now. But you are dealing with several issues simultaneously. Maybe I should break it down for you some more, because I don't want it to be like I'm dodging from answering you, but I don't want to get you in more trouble than you already are. Okay? Because these are different issues. Unless, of course, you have received a prima facie determination of your VAWA. So there's a lot of missing parts. So I'm not going to leave it like that, because you say, oh, he advised me and that's why I did this, and then there's a problem. You don't even seem to understand the difference between a removal, administratively closing a case, and termination. Because a case that is administratively closed is still on the record. The case is not dead. So by the time you then try to terminate it, it changes your posture. I just don't want you to get messed up. A detailed review will accompany whatever you do, and you need a lawyer to guide you through each of the process. In fact, you need a family lawyer as well as an immigration lawyer, because you're talking about divorce, you're talking about alleged bigamy. That could raise very serious issues for you. So that's as best as I can advise you. Don't rush to anything right now until you have spoken to a divorce lawyer, spoken to an immigration lawyer, and make sure that in the quest of trying to finesse your spouse's bigamy into your immigration green card, you don't even get yourself arrested for a crime. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's move to the next question here. Guys, can you give me the next question? Is that all we got? Lisa, that's all we got for today. All right, well, that's it. Thank you guys so much for being part of the show tonight. Hopefully we're back here tomorrow. We do this every day, 4 p.m. Central Time. It's our fixed time, 5 p.m. New York time. And hopefully you join us. Bring your questions along, or post your question on any of our platforms so that we can make it part of our Q&A for the day. You are, of course, watching Immigrant Survivor Show with Okpe Banwo. And right now, we are doing a 30-day, a 30-day Immigrant Survivor Marathon as part of our official launching of our office in Arlington, Dallas Metroplex. As part of our giveaway to the community, every day we come here, answer questions for almost 2 hours. We also give you immigration development for the day or for the week as a way of us educating the community. Because I believe that our major problem as immigrants is not so much about the laws, but about ignorance about the law. All right, that's it for today. It's a wrap. And then when I come back, I will close the show. The Immigrant Survival Show for millions of immigrants. America is not just a country. It is a dream of freedom, opportunity, and a better life. But behind the dream lies a system filled with confusion, fear, and life-changing consequences. One mistake can destroy everything, but the right knowledge can change everything, helping immigrants achieve the American dream without the nightmares. The Immigrant Survival Show. This is where knowledge becomes power. All right. That's it. It's a wrap for tonight. I want to appreciate my team again before we leave. Thank you so much. Madam Grace, Stephen, Oyeleye, and Jolomi, thank you so much for a great job. And of course, not to forget our man from Akwa Ibom, Mr. Samuel Okpor. Is it Akwa Ibom or Calabar? Where is your home self?
It's Akwa Ibom.
It's Akwa Ibom, okay. Akpabio town. Okay, the Lord will help you. All right. Stephen, how's it going out there in your city? I hear that they are kidnapping in Ogbomoso and all that stuff. Is everybody safe at home?
Everybody is safe. We are hoping that those who have been kidnapped will be released very, very soon, sir. The government's on top of the matter.
Awesome, awesome. Madam Grace, did you go and pray for us in church today? We need prayer. Huh? Grace is our prayer warrior. What's going on?
I did, Daddy. I did.
All right, awesome. Me personally, I need a lot of prayer, so pray for me very well. Where you go? All right, Madam Jolomi, thank you so much, everyone, for being part of the show tonight. I look forward to seeing you guys again tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and unfortunately 11 p.m. Nigerian time. I will see you on the next show. God bless. And we are all out right now. There you go. Good night.